and now we demand you tell your audience to go vote for who we want them to vote for.
Yeah.
F you. F you. I am not doing anything.
I thought it was so funny.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Veteran Uncensored. We have a new video for you today. It looks like Candace Owens and Dave Smith just dropped a massive reality check on the America First movement. And the establishment is terrified as these two big personalities are getting together. Of course, Tucker Carlson already out there as well, doing his thing. And I mean, this is all really a big conundrum, if you will, for the MAGA movement, for the hardcore MAGA blind movement. There are many people that are coming to their senses, of course. We're not going to be watching the whole 26 minutes. You can go to Candace Owens Clips YouTube channel for the whole thing. I went through and pulled the exact moments where they exposed the Neocon takeover, the foreign policy disasters, and the elite cover-ups. So let's get right into this whole situation. Let's not waste any time, ladies and gents. Let's get right down to it.
Listening to Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham at this Genocide Fest 2025, where they're like, you know, like if you were to hear them talk about it, it's like, dude, I guess everybody just got possessed by Israel hatred over the last couple of years, and nothing else was going on in the news with Israel, Candace. It's just that, I don't know, so everybody just kind of, I guess Qatar must have sent a lot of money around, and then everybody it was just all, you know, that's what happened, is that like all these people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and all the people who have been household names now for many, many years, who you know is very successful at the top of the conservative, most popular like commentators, they all just sold out their soul for Qatari money, and just and their whole audience is possessed by it too, and nothing. And then they just leave out that part where like, you guys committed a genocide in 4K and forced us to pay for it. Like, you don't think that had a little bit to do with this? You don't think that had something to do with where we're at today? And this like, you know, so one of the things, this is what I was getting at before, because Charlie was a movement guy. Charlie was a big tent guy. Charlie was a guy who wanted to find a way for us to not lose to like the crazy progressive leftists. And you've heard this brought up a lot by Mark Levin and by Ben Shapiro and people like that over this last week. You know, we just had an election. The Democrats had a good night. You go, look, there's this infighting on the right. And so if we keep doing this, we're going to end up losing, and AOC is going to be president or something like that. Now, of course, they just take it as a given that, like, I guess we're just supposed to shut up and they get their way. Is, you know, like, why is that the way it works? But at a certain point, I actually think in a sense, they're right about that one argument. And Charlie was right to like be concerned about this. But here's the thing, right? And you being number one, and you and Tucker are the biggest two. You're the biggest two conservative people in the news. And like, then as Charlie noted, as Megyn Kelly's noted, nobody under 30 supports Israel anymore. Barely anyone under 40 supports Israel anymore. It is essentially, my point is that you're right. If we fracture up this coalition, we'll end up losing to the Democrats. But the only way to overcome that and win is to obviously go with the wind. It's like it's like saying in 2016, hey, there's a big divide between Donald Trump and the entire GOP establishment on immigration. They want open borders, and he wants to build a wall. And it's like, yes, but you've got him and 100% of the base against you. So the only option here is to go with his immigration policy, and then you could win the election. And I do think this all comes down to the war party and to Israel, which are kind of, you know, one and the same in this country. And it's like, JD Vance, you can embrace that and lose, or you can come over here with the people and have a real shot of winning. What do you want to do?
And look, we have the Republican Party, we have a Democrat Party, and then we have the Knesset Party, and they've infiltrated both of the parties actually. And what's happening right now is left and right people are saying no to that. The reasons might be different, but it's a populist movement one way or the other. Right. And it's hilarious to me that they think, after me watching Charlie Kirk get assassinated, them spitting in our face and telling us that it's raining about everything that happened here. The viciousness that they themselves directed toward me in the aftermath. I mean, if people say like, they tried to say that I didn't even like know Charlie. I mean, it was they were so intent on making sure that not one drop of Candace being anti-Israel was a part of his legacy, that they just lied. They lied in a way that for the grief that I was going through, like, I'm not a crier. I mean, it was a lot. You know, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. It was a lot for me to go through. And I look back and I'm like, wow, the nastiness of them doing this. And then like a couple of weeks later being like, and now we demand you tell your audience to go vote for who we want them to vote for.
Yeah.
F you. F you. I am not doing anything. Okay. Here's the way it works. And here's how common sense is. Okay. You tell me I can do this job. I can build your house. I can do this. I hire you. Okay. I get behind it. I say, okay, I hire you. Go do that job. You then don't do it. You look at me and you say, Epstein who? Okay. Like, you're at the top of the FBI and you say, oh, these are the real messages. You're blocking people, as Kash Patel is, from looking into Tulsi's team and Joe Kent. You saw this playing out in the news. They won't even let them look into whether or not foreign people could have been involved in this. And then you're like, and now go get out more people to vote so that we stay in power. No, buddy. Okay. In your famous words, you're fired as far as I'm.
So here's the thing. She said a lot of things there. Let's pause for a second, and we're going to get right into the video and continue it. Right. So I do agree. We can't be voting for the same people just because. We can't vote for Republicans just because we're Republicans or we identify as Republicans or Democrats, whatever. That candidate needs to earn your vote. And I think that Trump, for the biggest part of it, earned our vote based on what he preached. And then he got in office. To me, he was doing fine, and then he got into this war, and he has bottled any credibility that he had. He has made decisions. He has really outdone himself for the bad, in my opinion. Although you can't forget those good things, which I've mentioned before, and people don't want to take a listen to that. That's fine. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, by the way. So that's one thing. Second of all, Candace Owens here talking about grief. I like Candace Owens on what she's done for her platform. I think that's commendable. I think that's respectable. But I don't agree with what she's done with Erica Kirk. I think she's gone beyond, for reasons we don't know yet. She has gone way beyond and attacked, and she has really outdone herself when it comes to attacking Erica Kirk. And I don't understand that. There's no reason to do that. She wants respect for her grief. She couldn't eat. She couldn't sleep. But she didn't respect that when it came to Erica Kirk, the actual widow of the man that they killed. So, of course, do your investigative reports and dig into it. And I commend her for criticizing what they're doing with the Epstein files, although I won't be a hypocrite. I will admit that at the time I said, the Epstein files, and I still believe that to a certain extent, the regular Joe that's working, what affects their lives is something else other than the Epstein files. They don't care about that stuff. They care about the gas and how high it is. They care about everything else that involves their day-to-day living. And this Epstein files, they could care less about it. Now, when you get into the conspiracies and the people that like true crime and the people that like these type of things, of course, they have to voice their opinion, and they do. But it's not really a priority for the regular American person, in my opinion. But at this point, you can say that there's something going on behind the scenes where Democrats and Republicans have been dirtied by this whole Epstein situation, that both parties don't want to bring it to light. So I agree with that it should be put out. And I agree with Candace in that sense. But all this whole thing about I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, you didn't respect that when it was the widow, and still double down right now on her. So I don't agree with that, but I do agree with the vast majority of things that they've been saying, of course.
I'm concerned. Okay. And so I don't know what's around the corner, but I do know that my platform is not yours. Okay. My platform belongs to the truth, left and right. Okay. And so it was just incredible to me. They were like, and not even that, they were like, get out people and tell them to vote against Mamdani and to get behind Trump. Okay, if you want to do it, that's your thing. But I'm telling you, I'm not doing anything because for me, political life stopped when Charlie Kirk was murdered and you wanted me to move on. I'm not moving on from it.
Yeah.
By the way, it wasn't because of Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson sitting down that MAGA got splintered. It got splintered when you said Epstein who? That's it. Literally for me
Oh, no
on my
question.
show, when I said, okay, what is this? Did the Loch Ness swamp monster come up and swallow the MAGA party? Actually, who is the Loch Ness monster? I think it's Israel. Okay. I think it's Israel,
No, that's
actually.
such a good point.
And if Trump suddenly joined the Never Trump party, which he did, right? Trump joined the Never Trump movement. That's what's happening right now. And now they're trying to tell us to join it. I'm good. I've always been against the Never Trumpers, and I'm going to stay that way, even if Trump has joined them.
Yeah. Well, there's.
Well, here's the thing. I think, and we're about to listen to Dave Smith. I think she's spot on when it came to that. I admit that. And Trump has been his own enemy in this whole situation. He has, outdone himself for the worse. So he has been his own enemy. He's, putting pictures of him in the same light of Jesus. He's doing a lot of things that make zero sense. And even in a conservative area where I live, these things are being noticed. So, and they're very hardcore Trump people, most of them. So, but they're noticing these things, and so he is losing a lot of his base. And but he's already, I think, admitted within his people that he's going to lose the midterm. So it doesn't really bother him that much, does it?
Okay, that's such an important point. And so but I just real quick before I get to that, I just do want to say, and I made this point last night. I was on my buddy Clint Russell's podcast, Liberty Lockdown. Oh, Clint Russell, by the way, criminally underrated. He's great. So it was me, him, and Ian Carroll, and we did.
Yeah, it was trending. You guys were trending.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was a great show. I think I bowled over everyone. I talked too much on the show. I apologized for it afterward, and I was like, I bet I'm going to get shit in the comments for this, and I did today. So sorry about that, guys. It was late. I'd had a couple whiskeys. I was ranting a bit, but it was a great show, and you should go subscribe to Clint Russell's channel if you get a chance. But I said this to them on that show, and I wanted to just make sure I say this again while you're on my show. That look, I don't know everything about everyone here, but one thing I do know is over this last year, I mean, me and you have become friends over the last couple of years. Me and Charlie became friends over this last year from hanging out with both of you. And I remember talking to you because, we'd all talk about all this stuff. And I remember talking to you about Charlie years ago when we were hanging out, and you were just had nothing. You were like, Charlie's the greatest guy. Just had nothing but like, I love him to death. He's the greatest guy ever. And I talked to Charlie about you briefly when we were down at the student action summit, whatever the big event where me and Tucker and Megan were. And literally just all he had to say was how much he adored and loved you. Like, so the idea of people going like, there was this distance that had been growing between, like, okay, actually, I know both of them. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's just a fact. And I genuinely challenge anybody in Charlie's inner circle, tell me the wrong. Even, I swear, even Josh Hammer wouldn't have the goddamn balls. Maybe he would, but he's lying. So that's one thing. But then on this other thing, it's very interesting. And, that you're absolutely right that it really was the Epstein thing. I said this at the time, too, that people do not understand how profound what he's done here is to, and it may not even show up in a poll. His numbers did go down after that, but I'm not sure the polls can, because a lot of people who support Donald Trump, they supported him. They voted for him. If you asked them, they'd probably still say, do you support Donald Trump? Yeah, I'm a Trump guy. I'm not a Kamala Harris Democrat or something. But the energy and the loyalty and the enthusiasm were just tremendously degraded by him. It's the whole political raison d'etre of Donald Trump was to drain the swamp. And this is the swampiest of the swamp, a pedophile ring connected to government and foreign intelligence. Like, come on. And I will say, weirdly, that at that event, which it was a thing that in a way I think saved me, because Josh Hammer, which was somewhat crafty of him, because it's the best he's going to do debating me. But so what he did for the whole opening of his statement was, like I'm me, so I get up there and I'm like, the neoconservatives were a marriage of the Israeli lobby and the military-industrial complex, and their clean break strategy is what we embarked on after 9/11, and this is the war in Iran. It's the culmination of the 7 countries in 5 years and all that shit. And then his whole opening statement is just every nasty thing I've ever said about Donald Trump. And just look, hey, Charlie Kirk Turning Point audience, we love Trump. How about this guy? He don't love Trump. And which is a powerful way to win over an argument. I mean, it's a lame and dishonorable way to do it, but it is how politics works. You know, you get these people like, well, what do you want to be? You want to be a leftist Kamala Harris supporter? You go, oh no, we're not that. Okay, we'll be the other thing.
Listen, all of that I agree with. The one thing that I agree the most when it comes to what Candace Owens had to say is about the Nick Fuentes situation, where it's clear and evident that he's been canceled, and she rightly, and I commend her for saying that. She even said, I don't like the guy or something along the lines, but he shouldn't be censored. He shouldn't be canceled. He should have the right to say what he wants. And if he is that lame and if he is that dumb and nobody likes him, then he's never going to have any publicity. He's never going to have any platform. But the fact that people cancel him, these big media platforms canceled him, well, then you get into the situation where he is bigger because of that. Because that's that's marketing in itself. I know he may not like it, but or he does, but of course he's demonetized. He can't make money on anywhere. I guess he super chats, he gets money, but not even Rumble monetizes him. He's one of the biggest streamers there, and he doesn't get the monetization that other channels like Steve Crowder does get. And he says some things that are crazy as well, according to the big realm of things. And many of them I agree with. The fact of the matter is, we shouldn't be censoring anybody. Let the people decide whether they're good or bad and whether they want to make money for them or not. Whatever, let the people decide. Let everybody be free to express themselves. Anyway, thank you very much for being on the channel. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe. This is Veteran Uncensored, bringing you another video. David Smith and Candace Owens, what do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below.